They said it was just a lesson. A way to help me grow. A small test to prove that I was truly independent, that I didn't need to rely on my husband for everything. But that morning when I opened my eyes in the hotel room overlooking the ocean at Sandpiper Beach Resort, I realized it wasn't a lesson. It was abandonment. The clock on the table read 7:12 a.m. Waves rolled gently outside the balcony. Everything looked normal until I noticed Marcus's suitcase was gone. I sat up straight. The bathroom was empty. The closet was empty. His toiletries were gone too. On the bedside table there was only a folded note on hotel stationery. Marcus's handwriting. I read it once. Then again, my heart starting to race. Vic, it's time for you to prove you can take care of yourself. You always say you're independent. So find your own way home. I looked around the room again, trying to convince myself this was just a stupid joke. Until I reached for my phone. It was gone too. I threw the blanket off and jumped out of bed, my heart pounding so hard my ears rang. No. Marcus wouldn't do that. Not really. Marcus, I called out even though I knew he wasn't there. No answer. Just the sound of waves beyond the balcony and the low hum of the air conditioner in the room. I hurried to the chair by the door where I had tossed my purse the night before. It was empty. A cold feeling ran down my spine. I started tearing through the room. The closet. The drawers. The bathroom. I even knelt down and looked under the bed as if the purse might have crawled under there on its own. Nothing. My wallet. My phone. My car keys. My credit cards. My driver's license. Everything was in that purse. And the purse was gone. I stood in the middle of the luxurious hotel room wearing wrinkled pajamas, barefoot on the cold carpet, and for the first time the thought truly hit me. Marcus wasn't joking. He had taken everything I had. And left. I ran out onto the balcony and leaned over, looking down at the 3-level parking garage below. The spot where Marcus's Audi had been parked the night before was now completely empty. That was the moment my stomach twisted. I was 145 miles from home. No money. No phone. No one here on my side. Can you imagine any lesson like that? I stood there for a few seconds, trying to take deep breaths as if calming down would somehow make everything return to normal. But the room was still empty. The other side of the bed was still cold, and the note was still lying on the table, a cruel reminder that this was real. Okay, calm down, I whispered to myself. Maybe Marcus had just gone down to the lobby. Maybe he thought this was funny. Maybe his whole family was waiting for me in the restaurant downstairs, ready to burst out laughing when I showed up. I quickly put on yesterday's clothes, the t-shirt still speckled with beach sand, and a pair of wrinkled shorts. My hands were shaking so badly it took nearly a full minute just to button them. The hotel hallway was unsettlingly quiet as I stepped out. Yes. The thick carpet almost swallowed the sound of my footsteps. The elevator carried me down to the lobby in silence. The front desk was brightly lit. A young receptionist was typing on her computer. I tried to keep my voice steady as I approached. Hi. I'm Victoria Sterling, room 347. I think there's been some kind of mix-up with my luggage. She tapped a few keys on the keyboard. Then her expression changed from polite to uneasy. Mrs. Sterling, she said slowly. Your family checked out this morning. I blinked. I'm sorry. What did you say? The receptionist looked back at the screen as if hoping she had read it wrong. But then she gave a small shake of her head. Your husband checked out his room, his parents' room, and his brother's room at around 7 this morning. They left the resort shortly after. A heavy silence fell between us. So, what about my room? I asked, my throat beginning to go dry. She hesitated for a moment, then turned the screen toward me. Room 347 hasn't been settled yet. There are also a few additional charges. On the screen was a bright red list. 2 nights for the room. Minibar. And 1 large charge at the bottom. Spa services. $725. I stared at the number. I didn't use the spa yesterday, I said. The receptionist opened the detailed bill. It says here the service was booked by Diane Sterling and requested to be charged to room 347. Diane. Of course. Diane. The total appeared at the bottom of the screen, $948. I swallowed hard. My husband took my wallet, I said, my voice so quiet it almost disappeared. Everything I have was in it. The front desk clerk, her name tag read Amber, looked at me for a few seconds. Her expression shifted from confusion to sympathy, but there was also the tension of someone caught between policy and kindness. Mrs. Sterling, the current total is $948, she said gently. According to our policy, we can't allow guests to leave before the balance is settled. $948. The number rang in my head like a metal bell. I was standing in the middle of a luxury resort wearing yesterday's clothes, my hair tangled from sleep, without a single dollar on me. I understand, I said quickly, trying to keep my voice steady. I just need to make one phone call. My friend in Atlanta can transfer the money. I just need a phone. Amber glanced around the hotel lobby. A couple wheeled their suitcases past. A family laughed near the concierge desk. Their lives were continuing as normal, while mine had just collapsed. She bent down beneath the counter, took out her personal phone, and slid it gently toward me. I'm not really supposed to do this, she whispered. But, make it quick. My hands trembled as I dialed the one number I still knew by heart. Sarah, my best friend. A divorce lawyer. The phone rang twice before she picked up. Hello, Sarah. My voice cracked. Marcus left me in Hilton Head. There was silence on the other end of the line for exactly 2 seconds. Just 2 seconds, but long enough for me to hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Vic, Sarah said slowly, her voice suddenly sharpened, alert in the way only a lawyer used to handling crises could be. Tell me again. Exactly what happened. I swallowed and looked down at my trembling hands. He left this morning. Took his suitcase. Took my purse. My phone, wallet, cards, everything. They all left. I lowered my voice. Marcus left a note. Told me to find my own way home. Another beat of silence. Then Sarah let out a very slow breath. That bastard. The 2 words were spoken so coldly that I felt a small surge of strength return to my chest. Vic, she said immediately afterward, her voice now extremely clear and steady. Where exactly are you right now? Sandpiper Beach Resort, Hilton Head. Listen to me, Sarah said. I'm in Savannah, visiting my mom. I'm less than an hour's drive from you. I blinked. Sarah, don't panic, she cut in. I'm transferring the money to the hotel right now. And I'm getting in the car. Then she added, her voice low and dangerous. After that, you're going to tell me everything Marcus has done. I handed the phone back to Amber so she could note down the transfer information Sarah had just sent. She nodded reassuringly, and I quietly moved to a chair in the corner of the lobby. 4 hours, that's how long I sat there waiting for the money to go through and for Sarah to drive up from Savannah. 4 hours sitting in the lobby of an expensive resort wearing yesterday's clothes, watching cheerful families roll their suitcases past as if their world was perfectly normal. Mine had just been torn apart. After about an hour, I got up and walked into the hotel's business center. There were a few computers available for guests. I logged into Facebook. Marcus's latest post appeared immediately. A photo taken in front of his car. Marcus stood in the middle, Diane holding onto his arm with Josh, Maya, and his parents gathered around them. Everyone was smiling brightly. The caption underneath read, "Family time is the best time." Love these people. My chest tightened. Diane had commented right below it, "Wonderful weekend with the people who actually matter." The people who actually matter. I stared at the photo for a long time. Then I started taking screenshots. The post. The comments. The timestamp. Every single detail. If they thought this was just a joke, they had just made the biggest mistake of their lives. I emailed each screenshot to myself. No rushing now, no trembling. Every post, every comment, every timestamp. I created a new folder in my inbox and gave it a very simple name, Evidence. When I returned to the lobby, Amber gave me a small nod from behind the desk. The money came through, she said quietly. Your friend is on her way. I sat back down in the same chair. This time, I didn't look around. I just stared straight ahead at the large glass doors at the front of the hotel where cars kept pulling up and driving away. About 40 minutes later, a gray sedan pulled up to the entrance. Sarah stepped out. She was still wearing her usual black leather jacket and jeans, her hair tied up high, her stride quick and decisive. But when she saw me, she paused for a moment. Her eyes scanned me from head to toe, wrinkled clothes, messy hair, pale face. "My God," she muttered. Then she walked straight over and pulled me into a tight hug. "It's okay," Sarah said, her voice low but steady. "I'm here." I didn't cry. Not a single tear. I just said one sentence very calmly. "He thinks this is a joke." Sarah let go of me, her expression turning cold. "Yeah," she said. "Then let's show him just how expensive this joke is going to be." Sarah helped me carry the small bag Amber had put together for me, a bottle of water, a few tissues, and the paid receipt. We stepped outside where the humid Hilton Head heat hit my face like a slap. As soon as the car door closed, Sarah turned to look at me. "Start from the beginning," she said. "Don't leave out a single detail." The car rolled out of the resort parking lot. I looked through the rear window and watched the hotel building slowly grow smaller. Just a few hours earlier, my 12-year marriage had still existed there. Then I started telling the story. From dinner the night before. From the way Marcus and Diane kept leaning in to talk privately. From the moment I had to leave the table to deal with a client issue. From when Marcus squeezed my hand under the table, something I had thought was meant to comfort me. Looking back, I said quietly, maybe he just wanted me to stay quiet. Sarah didn't say anything. She just tightened her grip on the steering wheel. I continued about the note. About the missing purse. About Diane's spa bill. When I finished, the car was silent for a few seconds. Then Sarah exhaled. "Vic," she said slowly, her voice sharp as a blade in Georgia. "That could be considered abandonment. A husband abandoning his wife. And there's also the financial aspect." I turned to look at her. "What do you want to do?" Sarah asked. I stared at the long road ahead, then said something even I hadn't expected to say. "I want to disappear from their lives." Sarah glanced at me as if making sure she hadn't heard wrong. "Disappear?" she asked. I nodded, still staring straight down the road ahead. The rows of trees along the highway slid past the window, midday sunlight flickering across the pavement. "I don't want to fight with them," I said slowly. "I don't want to explain anything. I don't want to hear Marcus say this was just one of Diane's stupid jokes." I took a deep breath. "I just want to leave." Sarah was silent for a few seconds. I knew she was thinking the way a lawyer does, calculating, organizing, seeing the next steps before I had even thought of them. Finally, she nodded. "All right," she said. "But if you're going to disappear, you need to do it the right way." I turned to look at her. "What do you mean?" Sarah changed lanes, her voice calm but firm. "Here's what I mean. We go back to Atlanta. You pack your things, documents, everything that belongs to you." She paused for a moment. "Then we file for divorce before Marcus even realizes what's happening." My heart started beating a little faster. "And Vic," Sarah added, "this time we're going to make sure everything they did to you ends up in the court record. Every single thing." We got back to Atlanta just as the sky was beginning to darken. The familiar city came into view, but the feeling inside me was completely different. 12 years of marriage ended in a single morning in a hotel room 145 miles from home. That night I packed everything that belonged to me. Clothes, documents, the hard drive that held all of my work. 2 full suitcases sat by the door. The next morning I was sitting in Sarah's office. "We can file for divorce today," she said. "And Vic, what Marcus did wasn't a joke. It was cruelty." I signed the papers. No shaking, no hesitation. Because the moment Marcus left that note, he thought he was teaching me a lesson about independence. And he was right. Just not in the way he imagined. I did find my own way home. And I learned something that all of us should remember. If someone deliberately hurts you to teach you a lesson, they don't love you. You deserve respect. You deserve safety. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. 3 weeks later, Marcus had called me 128 times, sent 85 text messages and 30 emails. For the first time since the day I left, I finally answered the phone. His voice was a mix of confusion and anger as he scolded me, especially after learning that my divorce filing had been accepted by the court. He shouted that it was all just a joke and that I had overreacted. I listened to everything he had to say, and then I replied with only one sentence. "Thank you for the lesson." 3 months after that morning in Hilton Head, our 12-year marriage officially ended in a courtroom in Atlanta. Marcus no longer carried the same confidence he showed in those family time photos. In court, the evidence that Sarah and I had gathered, the note he left behind, the bills he pushed onto my room, and the social media posts was all entered into the record. The judge described his actions as intentional abandonment of his spouse and financial harm. Marcus was ordered to pay all legal fees, reimburse every expense from that trip, and lost most of the shared assets in the divorce settlement. His reputation within the family company was severely damaged, and many colleagues began distancing themselves from him. As for me, for the first time in many years, I walked out of the courthouse feeling relieved, no longer disrespected, no longer treated like a joke. My ex-husband had taught me a powerful lesson about independence. If you support the way I handled this, comment the number 8 and share this with friends who may be going through something similar today. And remember to follow for more real stories like this.